Hello, this is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com, and today we're going to be speaking about the highest quality gas mask that money could probably buy. Now, there are a lot of other companies on the market that are making gas masks, but you really have to take into account what the purpose of use is of what you're trying to buy to make sure that you're actually getting something that's going to protect you. I know that some of the viewers here are actually videographers who've reached out to me asking about gas masks specifically because they're actually people who are planning to fly to Ukraine or they're very heavily involved in riots and stuff like that. And if they're journalists that want to get close to the action, you really want to make sure that you're protected. So having just a baseline gas mask is not the only thing that you need to take into consideration when it comes to your breathing. There are other variables that you want to be very careful about to make sure that you're actually getting protected. Now, it doesn't really take much explanation for today of why a person feels like they might need one. Considering everything that's been going on over the past few years, it's kind of something that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, some people might look at it as extreme, but the people who are looking at it as something that might be extreme might not have been in a situation where they felt like they couldn't breathe properly and then suddenly wish they had one. It's definitely something that might be worth putting into your kind of arsenal of things because breathing is one of the most important things you're going to need in regards to like the lifeline cycle of the things that are important. Breathing is the first thing that comes into mind because that's the thing that you need the most and the shortest period of time that you can have without before it becomes a huge issue. So I want to go over some of the gas masks that are here and kind of go over different variables of different things I've tried in the past to kind of give you an idea of what you might be looking for. So to back up a little bit, I have this respirator. This is a respirator, which means it's not meant to stop anything of like chemical agents. This is not going to stop something like tear gas or pepper spray or anything. All this is meant for is kind of like paint. So if you're going to do paint work or if you're going to be doing something with lead, which is the original reason why I got this. Attached to the side here is, that's not really called a speech diaphragm, but what it is that it amplifies your voice, a speech amplifier. And it helps you that when I was giving classes to students, they could still hear me fairly well while being able to wear a respirator. Now, it's still not perfect, but it was definitely a reason for why I got this. This whole setup was built by me. The reason why is because each of these components were extremely difficult to find and be able to assemble, and it cost a lot of money to be able to actually get this set up. So I'm straight up ashamed with the amount of money that I spent, but at the time, I didn't really see what else was available on the market that would work for what I was trying to need. So this was kind of my starting point when it came to being able to get a respirator, not a gas mask. Now, once things got kind of heated and I realized the value of being able to actually get a gas mask, I found this company, Parcil Safety. So they sent this out to me to be able to review, and they sent me two different variants. Before I get too much into detail, it's important to understand that this is the highest offer that they have. This is the best one on the market. So there are other options out that are available on their website that is going to be significantly cheaper than this and have excellent efficiency in being able to stop what you need. But if you're looking for like the highest end that you could get, this is definitely it. This is without question the best that they have. So I want to go through this specific gas mask just to show you how great you're able to get in regards to the setup. And then based on different features, you could always downscale and really drop the price in what you're trying to put together. So make sure that it fits not only with your budget, but more importantly, with the safety standard that you need. Starting with this mask, you'll see that this mask has a ballistic polycarbonate visor. That's very important, again, for people who are going into riots or into any kind of very serious situation. Getting whacked in the face really hard is not ideal, obviously. And on top of that, if it ends up breaking and you're in an area that has issues with gas, then you're going to be in a really bad situation because not only do you might have kind of debris in your eye from the glass being broken, but also from you now not being able to breathe. So this is very important, again, for issues that you might get into impacts with other things, whether that be items. If you're in law enforcement and you might get hit in the face with something, this is something you really want to make sure that your gas mask has and is able to withstand so you don't get into trouble. So that's the glass itself. And another thing that I want to point out is that even though this mask that I have looks like it might have a larger field of view, I was actually able to see better out of this one than I was out of this one. Because it's still that there's a lot of little things that are happening on the mask itself that kind of like block your view a little bit more. So this I was able to actually see very well in, and I was very happy with that. Another thing that's important in comparison to these two is that I was able to breathe a lot better in this one, which also does something that's very important, is it doesn't fog up as quickly as this one did. If I bought an anti-fog spray to be able to use for this, and I need to apply it every single time I use this, and it doesn't last that long. This, without any coating at all, I was able to run and gun fully without any issue, and I was able to use it very effectively, and it kind of self-healed. So there were times that it started to fog, but after a few breaths in and out, it kind of self-healed, and it went back to normal, which I thought was really great. So that was kind of a huge pro of this one over this one that you might not realize in regards to quality of what you're actually getting. Then the rubber that they're using here is an incredible rubber. It's not a normal rubber, so it's not like a rubber, again, like this mask, where it has a rubber that would seal around your face. What this rubber is it's able to be rated up to mustard gas. Now, again, I don't think a lot of people are going to be getting into situations where you're dealing with such a high level of chemical issues, but it's kind of very nice knowing that the rubber that they have here is not just kind of a regular rubber, but it's also treated in a way that it's able to stop very, very serious chemicals. Now, something else to take into account is just because your face is protected doesn't mean your hands, your arms, your legs are going to be protected as well. This is specifically talking about your face. They do offer on their website these different like shields of like these body packs you're able to cover yourself with that will protect your body against that chemical agent as well. But in regards to your face, this is good knowing that you actually have that protection fully around your face, which I think is great. Going on to the back, this is the harness setup that they have. It is a 6-position harness, and they also have this neck strap so you can make sure that if you're not using it, you can kind of just have it hanging around your neck so you don't lose it. But having 6 positions to be able to tighten it down and make sure it's really snug fit is great. And it doesn't take that long to be able to actually don onto the mask. So I think it's great. So you have just 6 points, you just pull, and it all comes together and it really fits tight around your face. Another thing I've noticed between this one and this one is that this kind of seals kind of just around the edge of your face versus this one, it kind of went further and it made it difficult because especially if you have a beard, it won't seal properly. Now, in regards to this being effective with a beard, I'm going to do a test in this video that you'll be able to see. But before we even get into that, I want to give you just context. So this seals kind of a little earlier on, which gives more skin contact for me, which I thought was actually very, very cool and something that I think is able to help seal your face a little bit better. Now, the difference between this one and this one, just to give you context, is you might see that this one has some features more than this one itself. And let's go through that really quick. So this is kind of things you're able to choose for yourself on the website, again, which offering you want and what features you want to add. So the bottom of this one you could see is just a blockage right over there. On this one, you could see there's a tube sticking out. They offer on their website a hydration tube that you're able to get that will attach to the bottom of the mask. And inside the mask itself is a straw that you can just turn it and you can put it into your mouth and you can be drinking while things are going down. That is such a valuable and important feature because when I was using this, if you're ever around something that there's chemical agents, you'll need to leave very far from the situation, take off the mask, be able to drink and then go back. And again, I'm assuming if you guys, especially if you're law enforcement in any environment that's going to also be very hot, you're really going to want to drink water and you might not be able to do that if you don't have a canteen set up. So this is something that I think is very important, and no matter what features you want to go into, drinking is a very, very important part of it. And I think it's a great feature that they added to it. So that's going to be this piece that's right over here. On the inside of it, there's a speech diaphragm, which is an additional feature you're able to get. And what it does is just, it helps amplify your voice a little bit better than this one, which doesn't have that feature. Again, this is the same mask itself, but in regards to being able to hear a little bit better, this one will do better than this one. So again, if that's something you need, then look for that feature as an addition onto the website of something you're able to get. Both these masks have 3 different places you're able to attach an actual canister. So these are canisters that you're also able to get off the website. You're able to remove it from this side to center to the right side. So depending on if you're a right-handed or left-handed shooter, you could still have and make sure that you're actually getting proper coverage and being able to shoulder your gun. Now, no matter what gas mask you're using, pretty much any full face respirator you're going to use is going to have an issue with shouldering your rifle because there is something in your face that you're not going to get a proper cheek well. So that's not something specific to any brand. Any brand of gas mask you're going to get is going to have that issue. So just bear in mind that that's going to be a detail that you're going to have to train a little bit differently to make sure you're able to shoot effectively. But having the option to be able to choose where that canister goes obviously makes a big deal because in this configuration, I'm a right-handed shooter. I'm still able to use my gun. If the canister was on the opposite side and I couldn't switch it, there's 0 chance I'd be able to get any view of my rifle. If it was a pistol, obviously that's a whole separate thing, but as a rifle, that's very beneficial. So having that as an additional option and being able to switch is great, as well as also is in the heat of the moment, if you feel that you need to switch the canister, you could just add one to the other side or whichever place you want to be able to do it and continue breathing properly while being able to remove the other one and still having that effective. So again, that's a very valuable feature that you're able to get. So is it beard friendly? There's only one part of this that was a little bit difficult for me. This harness on the bottom right and on the bottom left are really touched up against the beard. It uses a very, very strong system that when I start pulling it, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but that's really tightening it down and it locks. So when I was putting it on and I would pull it, it could really grab some of your beard. So what I'm going to probably do is just add a piece of tape there, that just a tape or something that will kind of separate the clamp part from my beard, just so it makes it a little bit easier. I have a few ideas of how to be able to do that, but that's something you want to be able to watch out for, that when you're pulling it, your whole beard doesn't get locked into it, which is kind of painful, but again, small detail. So now here's the big question, because this is something that I thought was very important, is that for someone like me who has a beard, are gas masks effective? Based on a lot of tests that have been done with a lot of people, the answer is no, that usually you're not able to do it. However, there's a difference between what are official standards that they do testing with and the reality. Meaning that a lot of places are going to do testing and it might get very close, or it might work, and sometimes it might not, but they're just going to say it doesn't work. And companies like Parcil Safety or any other gas mask company are just going to recommend against it. And generally speaking, it is much, much better to not have a beard, and it will seal significantly better if you don't have a beard. And it's much safer as an option to not have a beard. But again, for those who are training or who for religious reasons can't take it off, and it's just going to be difficult to be able to do, you might want to know if there's going to be an effect, like if it's going to be effective to be able to have a beard and run a gas mask. So I set up a basic test. I reached out to Parcil Safety and I said, what would happen if I just spray a bunch of deodorant into like a confined space? Would I be able to smell it? Because if it's able to filter out everything, then technically I shouldn't smell that at all. And that should be a very general kind of test to be able to see if anything is leaking through. From what they told me, I would not be able to smell anything if there's a proper seal. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go into a very confined like shower. We have one in our house that's very small and very confined. And I'm going to empty out like 2 full canisters of deodorant just to be able to see if I'm able to smell it. Now, this is not an overly scientific test. This is not a test with tear gas. This is not a test with pepper spray, because unlike a lot of people who might be able to do this test, I don't have the area or the environment to be able to do that properly. However, that's not really the point. The idea is that in either case, if I would be able to smell the deodorant, then that kind of gives you an idea if the seal is kind of broken. And using that amount of deodorant in such a confined space, I should be able to smell it if the seal isn't broken. So as of right now, as the filming of this video, I haven't done the test yet, so I don't know what the result is going to be. So you guys are going to kind of see that along with me. So we're going to run that test, see how that goes. Then we'll come back and kind of do a debrief and see where we're holding with that. Now I'm going to take it off and see if I can. So here we are a few days later, and we now have the results of the test. It was much more rough than I would have expected it. The shower that I was in was a very confined space, and there's only like a very small opening on the top, and the rest is rubber sealed. So it was a very confined space to be able to have it. Now, the way that I wanted to run it is that I wanted to be able to have that full spray be able to hit me, and then after that remove the mask to see how much worse it was if I didn't have it on. That's also not to consider that there was a lot of debris on the mask. There's a lot of like a sticky surface that accumulated over the mask. So for sure, if I was doing it without it, it would have been significantly worse, not just for my breathing, but for my eyes and for my skin. But it was not ideal. So what I did was that we had the spray. It was roughly around 40 seconds of a consistent spray. And then after that, I removed the mask, and it was terrible. The main question, though, is that while the spray was happening, was I able to smell anything inside? That's really going to be able to be a factor that will determine if anything leaked through. The short answer is yes, I was able to smell a little bit of the deodorant that was going through the mask. The thing that I've noticed, though, is that there was also a video done on Demolition Ranch where he used a respirator, and there was someone else that had a beard inside the confined space that they were using. And what he noticed is that they did also smell some of the gas that was coming through, but it was so manageable. It was much more manageable than obviously if they would have had the mask not at all on. Now, if you're going to be in a situation where you're dealing with a lot of very extreme chemicals, it would be very much ideal to be able to remove your beard completely so you get a proper seal against your face. But what I did mention earlier in the review is that this kind of seals a little bit further up, so I was able to get a much better seal. Now, in the video, you might have seen that I adjusted the mask a little bit. And when I just did a breath out and a breath in, it kind of actually cleared out the mask and it was able to help me breathe properly. So there was only a small moment that I actually was able to like smell the actual the deodorant going through the mask, but with a quick breath out and breath in, it kind of cleared that up and it wasn't that big of a deal. Now again, I'm not going to be able to judge that based on something that's a very strong chemical agent, because I'm sure it's going to be much more uncomfortable than just the smell of deodorant. But this was just kind of meant as a rudimentary test to see how it was able to affect and if I was able to smell it. So again, just like most gas mask companies are going to recommend, it is much better if you have a full shaven face, so it's clean and it's smooth and you get a proper seal around your face. However, I would still be okay with the fact that if I didn't have enough time to do that, it would be a okay resolution for the moment until you get to a situation where you can resolve that. But using this mask specifically, since it seals a little bit further into the face, I do feel that that was a very added value in regards to it being able to seal a little bit better, even with a beard. So this is kind of, again, just a test. I didn't expect it to pass just because like most gas mask companies are going to tell you that it's always better to have a clean and a proper surface. But for a person who might not have the opportunity, or if you're a person who wants to train with it in general, it will be able to work. So one thing I did in addition to this is that there's a very common test that is done when you're using a gas mask where you'll cover up the seal of the gas mask and do a breath in. And when you do a breath in, you'll see the mask kind of squish into your face to show that you have a proper seal. Even when I did that, it was still able to leak through. So it's not a foolproof way of testing if you have a proper seal on your face. At the same time, it's as good as you can get without using any special instruments to be able to determine that. So that might be something you want to take into account when you're doing that, is to really make sure you have a proper seal when you're dealing with heavy amounts of gas. If you have any questions on this mask or other products that they offer, please feel free to leave a comment below so I can address it. I would like to do more testing on this, just like I do with any of the other products. And in the near future, hopefully, to do a follow-up video with testing of this mask and other masks similar to this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope the test was explainable enough that it was able to give you an idea of what you're going to be dealing with. And yeah, please make sure that when you're doing it, you really take the proper precautions. That's going to be valuable for you, especially for your breathing. It is the most important thing you have, and it's not really something to mess around with. This is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com. Thank you for watching.